Totals for week 6. Total expenses were $1,350 at 38 cents per mile. Total revenue was $6,250 at $1.75 per mile. That brought our net settlement to $4,899 at $1.37 per mile. Welcome back to Trucking the 7 Seas. This is episode number 86, and in this episode, we're going to go over week 6 of running my own authority. We end up running from Dallas-Fort Worth to the Midwest and back, and as a result, we have a very good week. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. We started as a company driver, working for night transportation, moved on to a lease operator, working for night transportation, then an owner-operator leased on a Landstar, and now we are an owner-operator running our own authority. I show all of the loads I take, what the revenue is, what the expenses are, and I compile all this information that I put into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. But last episode, we left off in Mishawaka, Indiana. So we dropped a load in Mishawaka, Indiana, and then we were looking for another one headed to Dallas-Fort Worth. So it was a Friday, so I needed to find basically a weekend load. So I was looking to get all the way down to Dallas. So we were looking around, and I ended up finding this load right over here. Put it right over here. So this one's going from Archbold, Ohio to Arlington, Texas. So 100 miles of deadhead, a little bit high on the deadhead, but it went to exactly where I wanted to go. Arlington it's Dallas-Fort Worth area. It is that entire metro there. So that was pretty good. Booked it for $2,000, so about $2 per mile, a little less without deadhead. That's what we found. First come, first serve on the pickup, first come, first serve on the drop on Monday. So we picked it up, drove it, reset over the weekend, and then dropped it Monday. So that's what we're doing, and now we're going to Arlington, Texas. Let's go. All right, so we dropped that load in Arlington, Texas on Monday. So that got us through the weekend. We reset, and now we entered the week with a full clock, which is exactly what I was trying to do. So looking to basically run from Dallas-Fort Worth to the Midwest and then back. This seems like a very decent run. Pays well, fairly well. And then 1,000-mile runs, so they're pretty decent overall. So I wanted to do that this week because I thought it would be a pretty profitable way of running. So dropped the load in Arlington, and then I was looking for another one headed back to the Midwest somewhere. So I was looking around and ended up finding, again, this load right over here. So this one's going from Flower Mound, Texas to Beaverton, Michigan. Flower Mound is, once again, just Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that was pretty good. First come, first serve pickup, first come, first serve drop. So that worked pretty good. Actually, no, the drop was at like 10 a.m. In Beaverton, Michigan or something like that, which was totally fine, though. I can make that. So that's pretty good. Beaverton, Michigan is kind of by Saginaw, so it's a little bit kind of up there in Michigan. Not a fantastic market, but you can find something up there. So, this is what I found, and this is what I ended up booking. And now we are headed to Beaverton, Michigan. Let's go. Okay, so we dropped that load in Beaverton, Michigan, and once again, I was just going to turn right around and try to head right back to Dallas-Fort Worth. So there seems to be quite a bit of freight going between these two areas/cities. So the city of Dallas-Fort Worth has a lot of freight coming out of it, and I'm easily able to find loads going from Dallas to the Midwest, and then somewhere in the Midwest going back to Dallas. Generally, the Midwest run has a little bit more deadhead, like the Archbold load is 100 miles, but the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's plenty of loads coming out of there, so there's like no deadhead. So I'm having an easy time finding loads, especially ones that are like first come, first serve on pickup and drop, which is making things a lot easier, and I'm able to fit in just more loads basically. So this is working really well. I did this a little bit the last week, and this week I tried to do it the entire week, and that's what I did. So yeah, once again, I dropped the load in Beaverton, Michigan, and I was looking to get right back down to Dallas. So looking around, and I ended up finding actually this load right here. So this one picks up in Beaverton, so that was perfect. So there was zero deadhead on this. Well, 2 miles, but whatever, 0. So it's picking up in Beaverton right where I dropped. It was a load of plastics or something like that. There was another pickup in South Haven, Michigan. So picked it up in Beaverton, went to South Haven, picked up another small amount. Both the load times were like 30 minutes or something like that, so it wasn't bad at all. So they were real fast. So that was good. So technically 2 pickups, but they were extremely fast. And it's going to Whitesboro, Texas, which is just north of Dallas, about 50 miles north or something like that. So pretty much Dallas is fine. That's good enough. So that's what I ended up finding, and that's what I ended up booking. So now we are headed to Whitesboro, Texas, which is once again Dallas. Let's go. All right, so after that Whitesboro load, it was then a Friday. So Friday is the end of the week. Was looking for another weekend load to get by. Couldn't find anything, heading straight back to the Midwest on that particular day. I was being a little bit picky because my clock was almost out anyway, so I needed to kind of get like a weird reset in. So looked around. I ended up finding something going to St. Louis for a decent price, about 1,100 bucks. So I booked that load. However, because it's Friday and Friday is the end of the week, that St. Louis load is not going to make the paycheck. So we're going to get into the spreadsheet right now. All right, so as discussed, we're going to go over week 6 of running my own authority. So let's do it. For week 6, we did 3 loads. In those 3 loads, we got 3,568 miles. Paid a total of $6,250 at $1.75 per mile. Fuel expenses, we fueled up 4 times for 417 gallons. Paid $1,312 at 37 cents per mile. And there were no maintenance expenses this week. Other expenses, scales 14, parking 23, for a total of $37 at 1 cent per mile. Fixed costs, we did not have any fixed costs come in this week. Totals for week 6, total expenses were $1,350 at 38 cents per mile. Total revenue was $6,250 at $1.75 per mile. That brought our net settlement to $4,899 at $1.37 per mile. Okay, so let's go over some caveats and notes for this week. So the big caveat is this was a fantastic week. So $4,899, that is the best week I've ever had in trucking. There was a week when I was working at night transportation where I ran like a 2,500 mile load that ended up just barely not making the paycheck it was supposed to be on, and it carried over to the next week. So I had like an extra $1,500 come in on a paycheck at night transportation. Then the original paycheck came in, which was also a very good paycheck. So I ended up making a little bit more than that, but that was technically 2 weeks of running. But this is the best week I've ever had, just with 1 solid week of running. So this was Friday to Friday. So I picked up a load on Friday, and then I dropped a load Friday morning of this paycheck, however you want, this week, if that makes sense. So it's like a day and like maybe 4 hours of running or something like that, or a week and like 4 hours of running or something like that. I'm counting it as just 1 week because it is. So that's that. So this was just like 1 solid week of running. There really isn't like a carryover or anything on this. This was just 1 solid week of just bam, hitting the road and running. So that's why it was so good. Also, it was good because no major costs came in. So no insurance came in, no trailer, no APU, none of the other payments came in this week. So that's a big part of the reason why this is so good. My expenses are obviously extremely low, 38 cents per mile. That's not normal. It's usually at least twice that. So our expenses were very low and our revenue was very high. So that is basically what happened this week. We had a really good week of running and no expenses came in. Yeah, and just going through things here, these 3 loads in this run I've been doing, I tried it a couple times last week and I went, oh, that was, that was a pretty good run. Maybe I should try that, this week. So I ran a couple of loads. If I scroll up, last week I did this from, Dayton to Texas. I did it, Fort Worth to Dayton. And I think I did it previously, Wisconsin to Mesquite. So I've been doing this a little bit on and off for the last couple of weeks. And I kind of realized that, I could probably run this 3 times pretty solidly every week and do quite well. Now, in this particular instance, this particular week, these loads were a stretch. I was having difficulty completing these loads and fitting it all into a week. Now, I wasn't trying to like cram it into this week just so I can have a great paycheck. I don't do that. This is just how it worked out. I was running very hard though. There's no doubt about that. 3,500 miles a week is not normal nor sustainable. But I did manage to fit it into 1 week, but nothing went wrong this week. I got up in the morning. These were basically all first come, first serve picks and drops, with the exception of one appointment time, which was very convenient for me anyway. So these were just perfect loads. I just pick them up whenever I wanted, ran them as fast as I could, 10 hours of break, got up, kept running, dropped it, pick up another one, boom, 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 and I did that 3 times. And it worked out perfectly. So that was really good, but this was a huge stretch, and this was not entirely sustainable. I mean, technically I could probably get it done every week if I really pushed it, but this was not easy to do. I got to be honest here. And I think 1,000-mile loads are more correct here. Particularly this Beaverton load right here was just a little bit too much. 1,200 miles is just a little bit too much of a stretch per load. I did it, but it was not easy. I think if I shoot for more like 900 to 1,000-mile loads every week, I can do 3 solid loads every week, assuming there's no layover or maintenance or weather or something like that that slows me down. I think shooting for about 900 to 1,000-mile loads is pretty good, which would be like Dallas to Dayton, Ohio, or something like that, or Chicago would be in the range as well. This right here was just a little bit too steep, and obviously coming back it was also kind of steep as well. So this right here, that's closer, you know, that's doable. 1,078 miles, that's doable. But that extra 100 miles kind of made it so I could barely get it in. I did it, but I'm not sure how sustainable it is. So that's what happened here. Yeah, I mean, it was really just a perfect week is what happened here. 1,000-mile loads, they were all first come, first serve basically, and nothing got in my way. No maintenance issues, no weather, no layover, no nothing, no over. I didn't have like a 9-hour unload or something like that. These were all perfect loads. There's no other way to put it. So that worked out really well. And again, what I'm noticing with this Dallas to the Midwest run is I can almost always pick a load that is a first come, first serve load, and a first come, first serve pickup, and then a first come, first serve drop, almost always. Which is actually, I'm really starting to realize that's very important. That's extremely important, because if it's first come, first serve, generally these first come, first serve loads are just really quick to load and unload, is what I'm noticing. When there's appointment time, that usually means the place is busy as hell and they just take a long time to unload, or maybe they're just like incompetent or whatever, and they just don't care about the driver, and they just like they take however long they want. But I'm noticing, generally speaking, the first come, first serve loads unload really fast and they load really fast. So that's interesting to note, and I think I'm going to really prioritize these first come, first serves at this point, because it just allows me to just go. So even if they pay a little less, I might prioritize them anyway, because they just keep me rolling, and that's worth a lot. That's important. You know, if you get a 9-hour unload time, that's an entire day gone. So yeah, that's what happened here. Perfect loads, all first come, first serve, nothing got in my way. So that's that. So as far as the rate goes, you know, about $2K per load. You can see the rates right there, $1.75, $1.87. Now, there's definitely going to be people saying that, you know, I'm booking cheap freight, which is fine. So this is what you're going to get though. As a new carrier working with C.H. Robinson or TQL, I'm not getting any more than this, and I've tried. And I know that this is basically the top rate I can get from those 2 brokers, right? If I have more access to more brokers, I could probably get a higher rate, but my MC is 2 months old, and I just don't have access to those brokers. So I've been booking loads, and I've been letting a lot of them go. So I'll try to find a load, like actually just a couple days ago, I tried to book a load from, it was basically Dallas to Ohio, right? So it was Dallas to Ohio. I forget the mileage, but it was somewhere in this range. It was pretty close to this. They were asking, basically we haggled a little bit. They stopped at 2,000. I asked for 2,200, and I stopped at 2,200 because I was trying to pull a little bit more, because I want to make sure I'm getting the top rate, right? as in terms of C.H. Robinson and TQL. So they stopped at 22,000. I asked for 2,200. They wouldn't budge, and I didn't budge. I said, all right, well, if you change your mind, let me know. He said, all right, yeah, man, for sure. Hung up the phone, waited. They never called me back, and an hour later, that load was gone, which means they found somebody to haul it for $2,000. That's what that means. So this is about what you're going to get. This is pretty much about the highest rate you can really get. You might be able to squeeze out 50 to 100 bucks per load. I don't know. But this is about what TQL and C.H. Robinson are in fact paying for loads like this, because I'm letting multiple loads go each time I try to book one. I'm not just booking the first load. I'm trying to pull as much as I can out of these guys, and they're pretty much stopping right around $2,000. And when I try to get more than that, I don't book the load. So that's that. So yeah, that's what basically C.H. Robinson and TQL are paying. Now other brokers might pay more, and I think that's pretty much a guarantee that they're probably paying more. But right now I have a brand new MC. These are the two biggest brokers in the United States, and that's what they're paying. So there you go. Okay, yeah, some other smaller notes. Fuel, pretty standard fuel bill. 37 cents per mile is about what I've been paying. That's pretty much what it's sticking at. That's pretty decent. I mean, I'm running the South and Texas a lot, so getting good fuel prices. Trying not to fuel up too much in the Midwest, and when I do fuel up, I think Michigan is probably the best place to fuel up. Indiana and Illinois are pretty expensive. So that's where I've been fueling up, and yeah, doing pretty well. I did notice, though, I didn't actually fuel up in Texas this week, so I probably should have done that. I think it's just a function of when I run out of fuel. Arkansas is almost the same price, so it's not that big of a difference. So Arkansas fuel ups are totally fine, although I should probably try to get to Texas. You notice Indiana, try not to fuel up there. You'll see these 50-gallon fuel ups. That's usually me just trying to get a little further and grab a shower at like Love's or something like that. So that's what's happening there. But yeah, there's my fuel bill, 37 cents per mile, and that appears to be roughly in this region what I'm going to pay for fuel. It's about 37 cents per mile. So there's that. Yeah, no maintenance expenses. This is another thing that really helped me this week. I did not have any maintenance expenses, neither expenses nor delays from maintenance, so that helped out a lot. And then if you look at the other expenses, again, nothing huge came in, just scales and parking, and that was it. So that also significantly helped. But I think overall the biggest thing that helped as far as the cost goes was I didn't have any of these major expenses come out. So this isn't normal, right? I mean, I had no insurance, no trailer, no APU. I think each of these comes in at a different week. So 1 out of 4 weeks, I won't have a major expense like this. And this was one of that 1 week. So I think next week my APU payment comes in, and then the week after that my trailer payment comes in, and then the week after that the big one, the insurance, comes in. So this was just the 1 week where none of the major fixed costs, or none of the fixed costs, came in. So that's basically what happened there, and that is just not common. Yeah, and just to summarize, very low, very, very low expenses and very high revenue. This is not normal. This is not normal at all. I am not claiming I'm going to make this every week. I am most certainly not. This is the best week I've ever had. So that's that. Don't be fooled by this. So if you're a new viewer and you clicked on this and you're watching it, this is not a normal week. Okay, this is not a normal week. Yeah, don't expect this every week. Okay, yeah, so there is week 6. Best week ever. Not going to be able to repeat that on a weekly basis, so there's that. But now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit, and we're going to start to go over the overalls here. Now, these overalls are not too relevant to go over because, well, they're still in the negative, and the reason why they're still in the negative is because I had some serious startup costs that are keeping me in the red right now. So as of this moment, my total profit loss is still negative $2,885, and the reason for that, scroll up to the top here, so I'm just scrolling all the way to the top, and you will see my startup costs. So these are all the startup costs for getting my own authority. I'm not going to go over everything. I made a video of it a couple weeks back, or about 7 weeks back at this point. But to get my authority active, I ended up coughing up $18,000. So that was a lot, and as a result, we're still in the red. So scrolling back down here, currently we are in the red $2,000. $2,885. And oh, by the way, all of these loads are dry van, so I am a dry van driver. So that's where we're at right now. But for theoretical purposes, what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll back to the top here, back to startup costs, and I am going to temporarily delete the startup costs just so we can see what I'm making on an average week. Now, the startup costs absolutely count, but this should give us a better idea of what a normal week would look like without the insane startup costs that I had to cough up, okay? Okay, so without the startup costs in there, my total expenses were $12,252 at 81 cents per mile, and that would be my cost per mile without the startup costs. My total revenue is $27,625 at $1.83 per mile, and my total profit loss would have been $15,000 at $1.02 per mile. So this is without the startup costs again. So now the startup costs definitely count, but we're just playing some games here, looking around, doing some theoretical estimating. And I found interesting that my cost per mile is pretty low actually, 81 cents per mile if you don't include that startup cost, which is not bad. And my total profit loss is about $1. So when I was working at Landstar, I think my cost per mile was 90 cents per mile, and then my total profit loss was also about 90 cents per mile. So that's interesting. I think I'm booking loads for slightly more. Yeah, I'm definitely booking loads for more as running my own authority than I was at Landstar. So that's also interesting. So far, if I were to extrapolate that over the course of an entire year, it looks like running my own authority will in fact pay more. So that's interesting. Also, I'm running in March and April, which are the slowest times of the, not the slowest times of the year, but very slow times of the year. It's very likely that in the summer and then around Christmas time, rates are going to go up significantly. So just an interesting note there. So, you know, things are slow right now and I'm doing okay. When things pick up, I'll likely do even better. And it's still too early to tell which position was better, when I was running at Landstar or when I was running now. I think over the long term, running my own authority is going to pay off, but it's going to take a year or two, which is pretty big investment. So that's where we're at right now. So this is without the startup costs, and yeah, $1, and we're pulling in basically $1 per mile. So there you go. Okay, averages and other information. Just going to go over some of the averages that are relevant right now. Average weekly miles is 2,500 miles. Total fuel costs have been $5,581 at 37 cents per mile. Total gallons used is 1,700 gallons. We are averaging 8.77 miles per gallon. Our price per gallon is $3.24. Total maintenance costs have been $2,200 at 15 cents per mile. If we kept this up for a 52-week period, we drive 131,000 miles. Total revenue is $27,000, and total revenue per week is $4,604. Total deadhead miles is 1,299 at 8.5% of total mileage. We've been employed 42 days or 6 weeks, taking 4 days off, 38 days on duty, taking 16 total loads, and the average load length is 946 miles. Okay, yeah, so there's the averages and other information I like to go over. A lot of this is actually hidden because with me still being in the negative technically, a lot of it is kind of irrelevant because it's in the negatives. So just wanted to go over some of that. I think this average MPG is too high. I'm trying to figure out what my actual MPG is. A couple of you guys have commented using different software / tracking tools, and I might look into that. I'm trying to figure it out myself for right now. My dashboard says 7.8, whereas this is saying 8.7. So I don't know what to believe at this point. I guess I'm going to have to count my mileage from the dashboard and then use that mileage to figure out how many gallons I used and then try to figure out that way. There's some inconsistencies for sure. I don't think it's 8.7 miles per gallon, and I also don't think it's 7.8 miles per gallon that my dashboard is saying. So I'm not sure what my actual MPG is. I got to figure it out. I should know that, but at this point I'm getting two different, completely different MPGs. So I'm not sure what to believe. So I got to figure that out, but that's where we're at right there. Mileage is looking decent, 130,000 miles. That's definitely decent. If I can do that, I think we'll be rolling. Revenue per week still pretty low. Took a few days off and tried running some local loads a few weeks ago. So that hurt as well. So my revenue per week, I want to get that up. And that's why part of the reason why I'm just running Dallas to the Midwest, because those are 1,000-mile loads. If I can do 3 of them a week, we're looking a lot better, and that'll help the revenue. Deadhead is getting better. It was 10% last week. I did a lot better with Deadhead this week, so I want to get that down to about 5% if I can, but we'll see. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Yeah, and then average load length, about 1,000 miles, and that's right where I want to keep it. I mean, these runs from Dallas to the Midwest, this is going to be my bread and butter from now on, and those are about 1,000-mile loads, so I expect that to stay about there. So there you go. Okay, so there are the numbers without the startup costs. However, the startup costs absolutely count, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll back to the top, and I'm going to put the startup costs back in there. So the startup costs are back in the spreadsheet, and we are currently still down $2,000. So still in the red right now, about $3,000, a little less. Hopefully next week I could be back in the green. That would be kind of cool. $2,800. You know, I think that's definitely feasible, and I believe the only payment that's going to come in next week is the APU payment, which is only $450. So if I have another week like this week where or limited maintenance issues and nothing too much slows me down, I think it's quite possible I can be back in the green next week. Maybe only like $100, something like that. But hey, it's better than being in the red. Better than being in the red 2,000. Definitely better than being in the red 18,000, which is where I started. So we're almost back in the green, and that's a good thing. But yeah, gonna keep running this. This Dallas, Texas to the Midwest is looking real good. It's also really flat. If you go the Missouri, the 55 route, it's really flat. You can go 55 route, or you can go through Joplin, Missouri, through like the 44. I don't like to go through the Missouri route because there's tolls, and it's also kind of hilly. Whereas the Mississippi Valley basically is very flat, and there's like no traffic there, so that's super nice. It's like an extra 50 miles or something like that generally, but that's fine. I avoid the tolls and the hills and the traffic, so yeah, I'm all for it. So that's what I've been doing. I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'll keep at it next week. And yeah, just keep running. But that will pretty much do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you need a factoring company, I do recommend OTR Factoring. I use them, and they're fantastic. I did not technically factor any loads on this week's paycheck because I didn't need to. But if you are looking for a factoring company, they're fantastic. I get paid within 24 to 48 hours generally, very affordable fees, and they also have a fuel card. And if you combine the fuel card with the factoring, you get a discount on the fee. So there is a link in the About section down below. Please use that link. It helps me out a ton. And yeah, check them out. And if you are interested in this spreadsheet or any of the other spreadsheets I've done in the past, you can find them in the About section down below. After you find them, click on them, open them up, just hit File, download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet. Then after you download them to an Excel sheet, you can use them however you please. But that will do it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.